Here with Ian Pryor, Communications Director for American Crossroads. Capri Cafaro is with us, Executive in Residence for American University School of Public Affairs, also a former Ohio State Senate Minority Leader. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Ian, as you assess the executive orders so far, and more we expect to come today when the President visits the Department of Homeland Security, what do you make of the way he is using the power of the executive office?
Well, I think he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. I think he's had a great first week. You know, I think it's been masked a little bit by some of the other stories, but the bottom line is he's getting things done his very first week in office. We're talking about border security right now, getting back to the wall. That is a huge issue in this country. It's something that he campaigned on. Sanctuary cities, another problem in this country with crime, with deaths in cities as a result of people that are here, not just illegally, but are criminally here illegally and committing crimes. And I think it's encouraging that he's been able to act this quickly and get things done in a relatively short order fashion here.
Capri, I don't know if this is a question you can answer, but we're hearing an awful lot of complaining from Democrats in Congress about some of the measures that this president has signed. But I wonder if, you know, back in Ohio where you come from, if people are feeling pretty good about them.
You know, I haven't had a chance to really talk with my former constituents about the, the executive orders that have come out. I mean, I would surmise that, you know, as Ohio voted overwhelmingly for President Trump, and they did so not only because of some of the economic message, but because they wanted to shake things up, because they wanted to get rid of the status quo and try something new. And they got exactly that. The American public, those that voted for President Trump, got an entirely new ballgame. Here is somebody that is doing exactly what he said he was going to do. Now, with regards to the actual impact of these executive orders, I think that it really varies. A lot of optics are, going into this. It really, going into a room, signing executive orders, it shows President Trump means business, that he's taking action, but the actual where the rubber meets the road on things like the Affordable Care Act, for example, and the executive order and its implications, or even the wall. I mean, you got to go through a process of competitive bidding for contracts and this sort of thing. So, you know, it shows, I think it's a signal of intent, almost more so than, a real immediate change in policy. But it depends on the executive order.
Let's talk about sanctuary cities, Ian, places like Chicago and New York and San Francisco. Sanctuary cities, their leaders have said, you know, we're not going to abide by anything this president wants to do in terms of limiting our ability to become or to remain a sanctuary city. But he just said that, at least Sean Spicer, his spokesman, just said that he is going to direct the Department of Homeland Security to look at cutting off funding, whatever funding streams, not just in terms of immigration or that kind of thing, but any funding streams from the federal government to those cities. Now, if you, Ian, are the mayor of one of those cities, does that get your attention?
Well, it should. I mean, these mayors can go out there and talk about all the things they want to do in their cities or that they don't want to do in their cities. But the one thing they can't do is direct federal money to their cities. That's the job of the federal government. And so Donald Trump has the power to cut off federal funding to these cities. They do not have a right to it.
Only to an extent.
This is only to an extent, but it's still, they can't make a decision that they're going to get the federal funding. That comes from the president. So they can talk all they want about what they're going to do in their city and what they're not going to do, but the president has extraordinary power with regard to federal funds, and they're going to feel that.
It was a campaign issue, Capri. He is following through on his promise. Do you have any problem with that?
Well, I mean, you know, elections have consequences, and this is one of them. At the end of the day, it is President Trump and a Republican House and Senate in Washington that will be making the decisions, because Democrats didn't show up in the middle of the country, because Hillary Clinton didn't have a message, and we really need to get our act together if we're going to be successful in 2018. This is reality. They run the table right now, and it's going to be their policy agenda that is going to, get front and center and is going to be pushed forward. So if that includes sanctuary cities getting defunded, then so be it. I mean, I think that Congress is going to have to weigh in on that too in some context through the appropriations process. But this is a classic push and pull between state governments and local governments and the federal government. The federal government has the ability to yank the chain by saying, you can do what you want, state, you can do what you want, local government, but you're not getting money from us.
All right, Ian Pryor and Capri Cafaro, we thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.